By 2016, the International Naval Coalition off the Horn of Africa had achieved its primary objective. Traditional piracy had been suppressed to its lowest levels in a decade. But while the piracy statistics dropped, the maritime environment itself remained heavily contested. Armed groups operating in these waters were mutating their tactics toward a broader spectrum of illicit activity. In January 2017, delegations from across the region convened in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Their objective was to overhaul the existing maritime security framework, known as the 2009 Djibouti Code of Conduct. The resulting treaty was signed by 21 states sharing the Western Indian Ocean, along with stakeholders like France. The delegates knew the 2009 code targeted a singular threat: Somali piracy. Regional security now required addressing the actual breadth of the criminal matrix. Securing these waters meant expanding the entire structural foundation of regional maritime law, rather than retiring the framework after the initial anti-piracy success. The result of that summit is the 2017 revised Code of Conduct, officially recognized as the Jeddah Amendment. This document operates as a structural expansion of the region's law enforcement architecture. The implicit baseline of the 2009 code was reactive, authorizing isolated naval operations against pirates. The 2017 mandate is designed to wage a holistic campaign against transnational organized crime. By codifying these wider threats, the signatory states formally recognized that protecting the blue economy, managing local fisheries, securing energy routes, and stabilizing global trade is an absolute security imperative. Standardizing a response across 21 sovereign nations starts with standardizing the legal definitions of the crimes. This map illustrates the baseline territorial boundaries outlined in Article 1 of the treaty. The code dictates that piracy is a distinct legal term, applying strictly to acts committed on the high seas, entirely outside of state jurisdiction. By contrast, armed robbery against ships is legally classified as an act occurring strictly within a state's internal or territorial waters. The crucial update in Article 1 is the formal inclusion of transnational organized crime in the maritime domain. This vastly expands the target profile for regional naval forces. The code specifies exact operational targets, including illegal arms trafficking, narcotic smuggling, crude oil theft, human trafficking, and the dumping of toxic waste. It also introduces a highly specific focus on IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. This industrial trawler operating in open water represents a scale of resource extraction that actively destabilizes local food security and marine ecosystems. Officially classifying ecological crimes and illicit fishing as security threats on the exact same legal level as piracy alters the entire military posture of the Western Indian Ocean. Drafting an international treaty is straightforward. The operational bottleneck is synchronizing domestic law to actually enforce it. Article 3 of the Jeddah Amendment mandates that participant states draft the specific enabling legislation necessary to align their domestic laws with the regional treaty. It also requires states to establish national maritime security committees to bridge the gap between their navies, coast guards, and port authorities, integrating them into a unified front.
Moving to Article 7, the code sets down technical and regulatory mandates tailored specifically for combating IUU fishing. States must implement mandatory tracking systems, specifically vessel monitoring systems and automatic identification systems, for all fishing vessels operating outside their national boundaries. The code also imposes strict regulations on at-sea transshipment. This closes a critical operational loophole where illicit fleets launder illegal catch into legal supply chains while still offshore. Together, Articles 3 and 7 mandate that participants upgrade their internal legal and technological infrastructure. This ensures no single nation becomes a regulatory blind spot in the regional network. With domestic laws upgraded, the final operational challenge is physically sharing intelligence and transferring legal jurisdiction across 21 sovereign borders in real time. Article 11 resolves this by establishing a formalized information sharing network to route critical data seamlessly across the region. The code designates 3 specific regional centers to manage this intelligence flow: Mombasa, Dar es Salaam, and Sana'a. This network processes reports of imminent threats, from toxic dumping to armed robbery, and immediately triggers rapid, coordinated naval interventions. When an intervention occurs, Article 5 governs the mechanics of physical interdiction. As seen here with a naval patrol ship and interceptor boat, states are explicitly authorized to board, seize, and detain suspected vessels and property. The code also introduces a crucial jurisdictional waiver mechanism. If one state sees a vessel, it can legally waive its primary jurisdiction, passing the authority to prosecute the criminals to another participant state that may possess better evidence or legal standing. Passing jurisdiction between states like a baton is the only effective method to prosecute transnational criminal networks that actively exploit maritime borders to evade capture. All of this enforcement raises a core geopolitical tension, protecting transnational law across a massive geographic area without violating the sovereign rights of individual nations. Article 19 explicitly protects that sovereignty. It strictly prohibits non-consensual military or police operations within another nation's territorial waters. The structural efficiency of the framework is that it does not attempt to erase borders or assemble a supranational police force. Instead, it synchronizes the underlying national legal architectures, so data and enforcement authority can cross borders legally and seamlessly. By standardizing definitions, mandating technology upgrades, and networking intelligence hubs, the code systematically seals the legal seams that transnational organized crime groups previously exploited. Looking at the active port of Djibouti here brings the macroeconomic stakes into focus, reminding us why these 21 nations agreed to this integration. The Jeddah Amendment took a successful, narrow anti-piracy protocol and expanded it into a multi-domain security framework. The participant nations recognized that securing the blue economy, guaranteeing stable maritime trade routes, and protecting vital food security is the prerequisite for long-term prosperity in the Western Indian Ocean. The 2017 agreement stands as a highly functional blueprint for modern multilateral security. It proves that the most effective defense against transnational maritime crime is an interoperable regional legal network.